What confident women never do in love. What if I told you that the strongest, most irresistible kind of love doesn't come from chasing, pleasing, or trying to be enough for someone? It comes from standing in your worth and refusing to settle. In this video, we're diving deep into the mindset of women who radiate confidence in relationships, the kind who don't beg to be chosen because they've already chosen themselves. If you've ever felt like you're giving too much, losing yourself in love, or stuck in confusing emotional games, this message is for you. These aren't just tips, they're truths that will change how you see yourself, how you love, and what you'll never tolerate again. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand what confident women never do in love, you'll feel empowered to become one. Want a stronger mindset, more peaceful relationships, and the confidence to walk away from what doesn't serve you? A confident woman never chases validation because she understands where her value truly comes from. She knows that her worth is not up for negotiation, not tied to someone else's approval, and certainly not dependent on whether someone notices her or not. She doesn't need a man to constantly remind her that she's beautiful, intelligent, or worthy of love. She already knows that deep within her core. Her confidence is not an act. It's a quiet, unshakable belief built over time through experience, self-reflection, and self-respect. In today's world, many people confuse attention with affection, likes with love, and compliments with commitment. But the confident woman doesn't fall into that trap. She doesn't go fishing for validation with vague text messages or social media posts, hoping someone will notice her. She doesn't manipulate situations to be reassured that she matters. Her peace doesn't depend on someone's opinion. Instead of waiting anxiously for a text or obsessing over when he'll call, she's focused on living her life, chasing her goals, nurturing her own soul. When she enters a relationship, she does so as a whole person, not as someone waiting to be completed, fixed, or filled. That's why she doesn't give someone the power to validate or invalidate her. She has already done the work to accept herself, the flaws, the strengths, the past, and the process. Because of that inner foundation, she doesn't crumble when someone pulls away or goes silent. She doesn't beg for love, she doesn't plead for attention, and she certainly doesn't compromise her dignity to keep someone interested. Validation for her isn't external, it's internal. She doesn't dress a certain way to gain attention. She does it because it makes her feel empowered. She doesn't agree with things she disagrees with just to be liked. She isn't afraid to express her true thoughts, even if they're unpopular, even if it means losing someone who can't handle her truth. And this is what separates her from the rest. She's not trying to be chosen, she's choosing herself every day. People often mistake her confidence for arrogance, but what they don't understand is the journey she took to get here. Maybe she was once the girl who waited by the phone, who adjusted herself to fit someone's expectations, who stayed quiet just to be accepted. But now she knows better. She's tasted the bitterness of seeking approval and found it empty. So now she walks a different path, one where she doesn't perform for love, she simply exists in love with herself first. When someone enters her life, she observes. She doesn't rush to impress or overexert herself to be seen. She lets her presence speak. She listens to actions more than words. And if someone values her, they don't need to be convinced. They'll see her for who she is, and she'll meet them in a space of mutual respect. But if they don't, she doesn't go into a spiral of self-doubt. She understands that someone else's inability to recognize her value doesn't decrease it. Confidence is quiet. It's found in how she handles rejection, how she sets boundaries, how she respects herself in moments when no one else is watching. That's why she doesn't chase validation, because chasing implies lack, and she lives from a place of abundance. A confident woman never compromises her standards, because she knows that doing so is the quickest way to betray herself. Her standards are not unreasonable. They are rooted in self-respect, hard-earned wisdom, and a deep understanding of what she needs to thrive in a relationship. She doesn't adjust her expectations out of fear of being alone or fear of losing someone. Instead, she holds firm to what she believes is right, even if it means walking away from someone who refuses to rise to the level she deserves. Her standards are not a set of rigid rules, they are a reflection of her values, her emotional boundaries, and the future she's intentionally building for herself. When someone comes into her life, she doesn't immediately hand over her heart. She observes, she pays attention not just to what someone says, but how they act, how they treat others, and how consistent their energy is. She doesn't ignore red flags simply because she feels lonely. She doesn't rationalize toxic behavior just to keep the relationship alive. She doesn't make excuses for someone who isn't meeting her emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. Instead of asking herself, how can I make this work? She asks, does this relationship align with my vision, my peace, and my purpose? Many women lower their standards in subtle ways, ignoring gut feelings, tolerating disrespect, letting poor communication slide, settling for emotional crumbs instead of the full meal of healthy intimacy. But the confident woman doesn't play those games. She's not desperate for love because she already has love within her. She understands that being treated well is not a luxury, it's the bare minimum. She refuses to let charm overshadow consistency or attraction excuse poor behavior. If someone says the right words but can't back them up with the right actions, she knows that's not love. It's manipulation wearing a mask. When others say she's being too much or too picky, she doesn't shrink herself to be digestible. She understands that having standards doesn't mean being inflexible, it means being clear. It means saying, I will not allow someone to mistreat me and still call it love. It means saying no to temporary excitement in favor of long-term emotional security. It means walking away from what drains her so she can make room for what fulfills her. That strength doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from lessons. Lessons she learned the hard way, from times she stayed too long, accepted too little, or gave too much without reciprocity. She doesn't chase a fairy tale or expect perfection, but she knows the difference between effort and empty promises. She doesn't entertain people who leave her confused, second-guessing, or emotionally exhausted. She knows that anyone who truly values her will make it clear, not just in the beginning, but consistently over time. And if someone doesn't, she lets them go with grace, not bitterness. She doesn't beg for loyalty, she doesn't fight for attention, and she doesn't plead to be chosen because she's already chosen herself. And that choice sets the tone for every connection she allows into her life. Her standards are her strength. They are a filter that protects her from chaos and disappointment. They help her attract partners who are mature enough to meet her on equal ground, not from a place of control, but from a space of mutual respect, growth, and genuine love. She doesn't fear missing out, she fears settling, and that fear fuels her discipline, her patience, and her unwavering commitment to never compromising what truly matters. A confident woman never loses herself in a relationship because she understands that love is not about becoming someone else to be loved. It's about being fully herself and inviting someone into that space. She doesn't let the excitement of romance cloud her identity. She doesn't give up her passions, routines, or dreams just to fit into another person's world. She knows that a healthy relationship is about two whole people coming together, not one person disappearing to complete the other. She refuses to be consumed by someone else's life, schedule, or emotional needs, to the point where she forgets her own. Many people, in the name of love, start shifting their priorities. They cancel plans with friends, stop doing the things they love, or place their entire emotional well-being in the hands of their partner. But a confident woman knows the danger of that. She knows how easy it is to lose her voice when she starts silencing it to avoid conflict. She knows how quickly dreams die when she stops chasing them to make someone else comfortable. She has learned, either through pain or clarity, that sacrificing herself to keep a relationship alive is not love, it's self-abandonment. And she has grown beyond that pattern. Her identity is rooted in more than just her relationship status. She knows who she is with or without a partner. Her life is full, not because she has someone to love, but because she's built it with intention. She invests time in her friendships, keeps pursuing her personal goals, and continues doing what lights her up inside. She makes space for love, but never lets it occupy every corner of her being. She understands that if a relationship costs her everything she is, it's far too expensive. She doesn't revolve her entire existence around another person's needs or moods. She shows up, she supports, she loves deeply, but she also makes sure she doesn't disappear in the process. She keeps checking in with herself. Is she still doing the things that bring her joy? Is she still connected to the people who ground her? Is she still honoring her purpose? If the answer ever begins to lean toward no, she knows it's time to recalibrate because she refuses to shrink just to maintain the illusion of closeness. Being in a relationship doesn't mean giving up individuality. A confident woman understands that the strongest connections are the ones where both people continue to grow, side by side, not merged into one indistinguishable being. She believes in interdependence, not codependence. She can lean on her partner and allow them to lean on her, but she doesn't need constant presence or attention to feel secure. Her emotional foundation is solid enough to give her room to breathe, to think, to evolve, even while in love. And because she maintains her individuality, her love is more powerful. It comes from a place of choice, not desperation. She doesn't need to be in a relationship to feel complete. She chooses to be in one because it adds value, because it inspires her, and because it challenges her to grow in the right direction. She doesn't lose herself. She finds more of herself through the partnership. That's the kind of love she's after, the kind that makes room for both people to shine, to rest, to flourish. The moment she starts feeling like she's disappearing, she takes a step back. She reconnects with her values, her boundaries, and her truth. She refuses to fade into the background just to be loved. She knows that real love doesn't ask her to dim her light. It celebrates her brightness and joins her in it. A confident woman doesn't fear being alone because she knows that solitude is not a punishment. It's a powerful place of discovery, healing, and growth. She doesn't view singleness as something to escape or as a space of emptiness. Instead, she sees it as an opportunity to build herself up, understand her desires more deeply, and align with her higher purpose. She doesn't run from herself by trying to fill her life with someone else. She embraces her own company and lets it refine her. In a world where people rush into relationships out of fear of being alone, she stands apart because she knows the difference between being alone and being lonely. Her confidence doesn't come from always having someone by her side, but from learning how to stand alone without crumbling. She has faced seasons of silence and uncertainty, and instead of letting them define her, she let them mold her. She's made peace with the quiet moments and used them to listen more closely to her own voice. She's discovered who she is when no one is watching, and that truth has become her foundation. She has turned what many people fear, being by themselves, into a sacred place of clarity and strength. She doesn't jump from one relationship to another just to keep from feeling the sting of solitude. She's not afraid of Friday nights without plans or holidays without a partner. She's not constantly searching for someone to validate her existence. She uses that time to pour into herself. She reads, she creates, she rests, she explores new things. Her singleness isn't just a waiting room for love. It's a season she honors because it's shaping the kind of woman who won't settle for less than she deserves. When she does enter a relationship, she doesn't do it from a place of need. She doesn't expect someone else to fill the gaps she hasn't filled on her own. She knows that love is sweeter when it's shared between two whole people. Because she's not afraid to be alone, she doesn't stay in relationships out of fear. She doesn't tolerate disrespect just to avoid starting over. She doesn't stay silent about her needs just to avoid rocking the boat. She's not held hostage by the idea that being alone is worse than being in something unhealthy. She has the strength to walk away when something isn't right because she knows she'll be just fine on her own. Her fearlessness in being alone gives her power. It gives her the ability to be patient, to wait for someone who truly deserves her time and energy. She doesn't confuse attention with love or consistency with compatibility. She's not rushing the process because she trusts that the right connection will arrive when she's already full, not when she's feeling empty. She's focused on becoming the woman she's proud of, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, so that when someone does come into her life, they are meeting her at her highest vibration, not her most desperate. Being alone doesn't scare her, it sharpens her. It gives her the freedom to choose love with discernment, not fear. It keeps her from settling for a warm body when what she truly wants is a deep connection. And because she's not afraid of the silence, she doesn't let noise in just to distract her. She knows that love is not something to chase, it's something to attract. And the only way to attract what's meant for her is by becoming exactly who she's meant to be, even if that means walking the path alone for a while. A confident woman does not tolerate mixed signals because she values her time, her energy, and most of all, her peace. She knows that uncertainty in love is not romantic, it's draining. She doesn't hold on to half-hearted effort, confused intentions, or emotionally inconsistent behavior. She understands that real connection feels clear, not complicated. She refuses to decode messages, overthink silence, or cling to crumbs of affection just to keep a relationship alive. Her confidence allows her to walk away from emotional games without looking back. She listens with her whole being, not just to the words spoken, but to the actions behind them. If someone says they care but never show up when it counts, she pays attention. If they express love one moment and disappear the next, she doesn't spend her nights wondering what she did wrong. She knows that love doesn't look like chaos, love doesn't come in riddles, love doesn't leave someone anxious and second-guessing. She believes that someone who truly wants her in their life will make that known consistently, not just when it's convenient. In a culture that often glorifies chasing, pursuing, or trying to fix unclear relationships, the confident woman stands in contrast. She doesn't romanticize being kept on an emotional leash. She doesn't confuse uncertainty with excitement. She knows that peace is far more attractive than unpredictability. And when someone sends her mixed signals, she doesn't stay hoping for clarity to magically appear. She removes herself from the ambiguity and returns to her truth. She has no time to be someone's maybe when she knows she deserves to be someone's yes. Mixed signals to her are a form of disrespect. They suggest indecision, lack of maturity, and often emotional manipulation. She understands that people who truly care don't leave others guessing. They communicate, they show up, they take action. And when someone can't give her that, she doesn't try harder to prove herself. She steps back and protects her dignity. She won't compete for affection, fight for clarity, or justify why she deserves honesty. Her worth isn't up for debate, and she won't enter into emotional tug-of-wars to feel desired. She has learned to trust her intuition. When something feels off, she doesn't ignore it. She checks in with herself and honors what she feels. If she notices inconsistencies, words not aligning with actions, affection that comes and goes, communication that lacks depth, she doesn't create stories to make sense of it. She accepts that the behavior speaks for itself. She doesn't need to investigate or dig for hidden meaning. If it's not clear, it's not aligned, and that alone is enough for her to make a decision. What sets her apart is her ability to choose clarity over chemistry, peace over passion, and truth over temporary satisfaction. She doesn't settle for attention that comes only when it's convenient for the other person. She wants love that's present, love that's rooted, love that's mature. She's not afraid of walking away from potential. Potential means nothing to her without presence and action. She's willing to let go of people who don't have the courage to be honest or the consistency to stay committed. The confident woman lives by a simple but powerful truth. If someone is truly for her, she won't have to chase them, convince them, or decode them. It will be obvious. She holds herself to that standard, not because she's cold or unfeeling, but because she's already learned that mixed signals are often a warning sign of deeper emotional immaturity. She has too much self-respect to stay confused in something that's supposed to bring her clarity. That's why, when love feels unclear, She doesn't cling, she lets go. In the end, a confident woman in love is not defined by how much she gives, sacrifices, or tolerates, but by how deeply she knows and honors herself. She refuses to chase validation, lower her standards, lose her identity, fear solitude, or accept emotional confusion. Her strength lies in her ability to love without losing her power. She understands that true love doesn't cost her peace or require her to compromise who she is. It meets her where she stands, in clarity, in truth, and in mutual respect. The relationship she chooses is not one that saves her, but one that celebrates her already whole, already worthy, already powerful self. And in walking that path, she becomes not just a partner, but a standard. Thank you for giving your time and heart to hear this message. May you carry these words with strength, clarity, and boldness in your journey through love. Remember, the most powerful love you'll ever receive starts with how you love and honor yourself.